Man, we got handwritten notes. Is there a way I can get a PDF of this only? Is there a way? Can I get a PDF? Original PDF? Yes. PDF filed September 22nd, 2022. Oh, man. Letecia Stauch. So, again, by the way, the jury, they're deliberating right now. We don't know if they're going to come to their decision today or maybe tomorrow. But today's Friday, right? I think they're going to come with a decision today. Does she dot her I's with her hearts? I don't know. It's just like really big, like childlike handwriting. Jesus. Okay. Let's see what she complains about. Claim number 1, kosher violations, First Amendment. All right. From July 2021 to February 2022, my First Amendment right was violated by means of my kosher diet. Inmates signed an agreement stating they will adhere to the policy and follow their kosher diet guidelines to avoid interruption of meals and services. Wait, inmates signed an agreement stating they will adhere to the policy and follow their kosher diet guidelines. What is this sentence? During this time, I expressed several concerns of my meals not being wrapped appropriately, items that were not kosher approved being placed in our diets, and the violations of sanitation by putting kosher on open trays. I asked deputies to alert superiors that the policy and their custom by El Paso County Jail was not prohibited per the religious affiliation. Below are a list of inmate kites that followed. One staff refused to contact Trinity Food Services and something administration know of their violations. What the heck is she? What is this? August 8th. Is that kite? Is that what it says? Kite or kite, right? To Trinity Foods? Explaining the contamination and kosher items on open trays. September 4. Reported improper kosher and contaminations. She eats kosher food. Does she always eat kosher food? I'm very curious about that. Or is she now just eating kosher food? Okay. Okay. Kites are a complaint form. Okay. Thank you. It's a kite. Okay. Kite is a jail email system. They have like a computer they can write to people. Okay. Thank you. Because I was like, am I reading this right? Or am I just like, is that something else? Okay. November 19. Sent kite explaining the staff was using a pen marker to write K on the non-kosher items that did not already have the standard approval. These were non-kosher items and violated the signed agreement. On 11/22, a response from jail said to kite the kitchen again. Okay. The jail continued to ignore the customs and policy for kosher inmates and placed the blame on the contractor, Trinity Foods. However, the contractor is conducting business at El Paso County Jail and administration SSGIs failed to monitor or adjust violations. Next, during the court transport in September 2021, November 2021, and February 2022, I advised deputies that they were not providing kosher meals while at court and eating the sack lunches were a violation of our kosher sign policy. I also asserted my First Amendment right on each occasion and asked the jail to adhere to the policies on religious diets. After several attempts, I noticed retaliation and was not provided my kosher or my meal was delayed for hours when other kosher and non-kosher inmates had theirs. On February 12, Deputy Stengel, a named defendant, sent in a violation of kosher to religious programs and they terminated my meal. From February 14, 2022 until February 28, 2022, I sent several kites and asked SSGIs could they provide the proof and reason behind the suspension that I did not violate the agreement, that in fact, the jail continued to show a direct link between the policy and a constitutional injury. Wow. During this time, I received notification that Deputy Stengel observed me violating the diet by eating other foods. So they're saying that she's not even like, she doesn't eat kosher food. This bitch is probably just trying to be like, you know what? I do eat kosher food and she just wants to be like difficult. So she can have something to complain about. But yo, Deputy Stengel said she was eating something else. What was she eating? Like Hot Pockets or something? Pop-Tarts? I explained to her that these purchase items on commissary were not excluded. Wait, what? So she did order food from the commissary, but they're not kosher foods, but that's okay? When you eat kosher food, don't you usually just stick to a kosher diet? Not like, hey, you know, my meals need to be kosher, but my snacks can be whatever the fuck I want it to be. Inmates should have to eat whatever other inmates eat and be happy with what they get. Sorry, it's not a restaurant cuisine quality food. One is Sasquatch. I mean, if you're eating kosher food and that's because of your religious, you know, your religion, then I can understand that. Or if you're someone that wants to eat like vegan food, you know, because you don't think animals should be murdered, even though if you're a murderer, that's kind of a weird one there. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I get it, but yo, they're saying that like she wasn't even eating kosher snacks. She's just trying to be difficult, probably. Once again, asked the jail to hold a meeting or some form of hearing demonstrating that I did not adhere and that these actions were not prejudice on behalf of Stengel. Instead, I received unjust punishment as a result of this individual who was competent and who showed extreme indifference, more than negligence, toward my First Amendment right. From February 14th to August 14th, I was suspended from my diet, which led to weight loss, depression, boo-hoo, and being limited to one meal a day because of excessive commissary prices. I suffered conflicts between myself and substantial burdens on my religious practice. This led me to modified religious beliefs and being forced to eat regular meals. Wait, what? So because she was starving and she was only getting one meal a day, she's like, well, I'm going to have to change my religion now because now I can't eat kosher foods. Is that what she's saying right here? She modified her religious beliefs. Okay. And now she's forced to eat regular meals and or non-kosher items or not eat at all. I received my kosher back on 8/14 after 6 months. Immediately, the disregard to our customs provided more constitutional injury, the 1st and the 14th. Okay. On August 17, 2022, I expressed the violation of Deputy Stauch named defendant and how the jail continued to fail at controlling direction or supervising others for our rights explained in the inmate handbook and our First Amendment right to practice religion. I explained to her that the meal for lunch and dinner were not approved items and were processed with other foods, causing contamination. I also addressed the need to reach out to her superiors to help bring the kitchen in compliance with the policy. After all, she was a party in violation and continued operation. Deputy Stauch became confrontational and abused her power while acting in official capacity. She insisted that the meal was correct, ignored my complaint to my First Amendment right, and refused to serve me a proper kosher diet. She was competent because she acknowledged the error and she explained that she was too busy to deal with it. She accepted Trinity's reasoning and did not alert her superiors that our rights were being violated, even though the first deputy oath of office is to protect individual rights. Man, she did a lot of research to copy paste some of the phrases in here. She even stated, if you don't like it, don't come to jail. If you don't like it, don't come to jail. This is not the first time that she retaliated with comments such as these. In fact, she was also a deputy who ignored the violations that I listed in 2021. Deputies are only means to a correct meal while locked down from 2021 to 22 hours a day. Damn, that's how long they're locked down for? Jesus. The following is the next few non-compliances. 8/15, 2022, non-kosher. 8/16, no proteins for kosher meals, extremely low calorie. 8/17, non-kosher lunch and dinner. But she needs to say, like, why are they non-kosher? All she said so far was they were not wrapped the right way, right? But she needs to like give like specific examples, like, oh, this meat had this, and this meat didn't have this, or this touched this. Like, she needs to be more specific. Sounds like BS. 8/18, the most striking of the kosher violations from Trinity Food was when they serve, oh, here it is, smeat, which is processed meat with non-kosher items in a plant around pork. Okay, she's getting specific a little bit. They will claim that no pork touched the meat, but the meal was a violation and contamination of non-kosher either way. They serve meat, which is a processed meat with non-kosher items in a plant around pork. How does she know this? How does she know what the processing is like? The item has always been excluded from any kosher meals. Throughout this time, I was told that Trinity employee named Tim said, "We are cutting back due to inflation, and sometimes the food will be non-kosher. Eat it or buy commissary." On the next occasion, I'm told the ward deputy he was following guidelines, but still, El Paso jail refused to supervise the contractor. On 8/18, we told SSGI Brooks, who entered A3 female ward during our out time, he said he did not know anything about it, but yet nothing happened, as in no remedies to these reports of First Amendment violations. On 8/19, the meals were still incorrect. All defendants continue to ignore the constitutional right. Defendants understand and have culpable state. This policy is ignored because there is a disregard to our customs and the jail's handbook. Oh yeah, she must be reading the jail handbook or something like that. This forces inmates to alter their religious belief, not eat at all, or have excessive commissary spending when we are afforded 3 meals a day. We are deliberate intentions. Oh, these deliberate intentions, even after 1 year of trying to resolve the issue and demonstrate prejudice to the religion. The parties involved expect me to follow my signed religious agreement, but can't ignore it on their end. The defendants' names are not immune under the 11th Amendment because 1, 2, and 3 are all in their official capacity. And I've met the factors in the prong test, and all defendants implemented and possess responsibility and know they something. Claim number 2, medical neglect, the 8th Amendment. I was arrested in March of 2020, and upon intake, I signed an ROI and explained my extensive history with stomach issue. I suffer from severe IBS-C with symptoms present 12 or more days a month, leaky gut, abdominal pain present 15 or more days a month, internal, external bleeding, blood and stool 7 or more days a month, swelling. See, this is why you don't go to jail, okay? Because you have a lot of medical issues, you have a diet and stuff like that. Dude, don't go to jail then, because you know what? They ain't gonna give a shit about you too much, and you're just it sucks. Shit. She got bleeding, blood and stool. She got swelling beyond the normal range. The presence of knots in my stomach that one can feel, and constant pelvic pain due to the stomach issues listed above. I explained that I experienced frequent times of not producing a bowel movements. 10 to 15 days at a time. And sometimes more. I have been prescribed Miralax, Senna, and a stool softener at various times. Below is the list of communication through my inmate kite system. Kite only go show through November 2021, November. Medical kits. Oh, medical kites. Okay. On November 27, 2021, stomach issues, constipation, current medication was not working. The provider responded that no changes would be made. 12/7/2021, denying medication that was productive. The provider responded that I was at a 56% compliant rate. I explained to the med cart nurse, Jane Doe, that the percentage was invalid because MedPass was constantly out of the Miralax and or Senna due to staffing. Sometimes medical never showed, and they counted the days I was out of custody, temporary, in their responses, thus making their response invalid. What is she saying? Poor Tisha, no sushi in prison. January 18, 2022. My kite said, "Can I get different stomach meds since the provider refuses to evaluate me?" The response was a deflection as the provider responded with, "Please make sure you are placing a request in a professional manner." I was flabbergasted because the kite listed above was appropriate. 15 days without going. 3/12/2022. Request for medication to clean system out because I was at 11 days straight. So, oh my God, poor woman couldn't take a shit. March 26, 2022, stomach help request in severe pain, and they responded that I was scheduled to see the doctor. I never saw a doctor, and then bleeding started. February 11, 2022, 16 days without a stool, medication, not working, stomach pain, and bleeding. Dude, I wonder if this is just like most of this just bullshit. Just BS. Like she's bored in jail and she's just trying to stir up some drama or something like that. April 10, 2022, explained that I had been requesting help since January 18, 2022, and still did not see a doctor. Sorry, brain fart. June 10. Spoke to Jane Doe nurse who had her badge backwards and refused to give her name. She stated that I needed to drink water and stop eating the trays. I told her I eat once a day and drink at least 12 to 14 8-ounce cups a day. I explained that the issue was chronic and I was at risk for bowel obstruction and for other long-term health risks. No help provided. Bleeding continued, swelling pain, tiny movable knots in stomach, appeared without seeing a doctor. Jane Doe described tall, about 5'9", dark, long brown hair, medium build, fair white skin. August 19, told medical staff that I needed relief due to stomach swelling, constipation, bleeding, and pain that was worse than any previous kite and that the current fiber lacked and a stool softener are not working. Note, I have sent grievances, spoke with several medical staff members to include but not limited to Heather, Danielle, Maggie, and several other Jane Does who hid their badges instead of their clothing or who turned around backwards from March 2020 to August 2022. I informed SSGI's name, Bryant, Iad, Doucette, and someone named Simpson, according to the ward deputy, about the medical neglect. I was told to keep kiting and to understand the staffing was low. The jail continues to ignore the negligence of contractor well-faith, therefore being an active participant in the responsibility for the continued operation and constitutional environment. Claim number 2, continued neglect. On another occasion, I requested a medical evaluation for a concussion. The second one while at CJC. In July 2022, I rolled off the top bunk and hit my head and bruised my rib. Good. I hope it was a nightmare that Gannon was giving you. I alerted the ward deputy who called and emailed medical staff. I was told to put in a kite. These are the symptoms that was told to medical staff and that continued. Nausea, several hours, dizziness, 2 days, bleeding, 2 hours persistent, off and on for 1 day. Later, scabbing occurred. Pain ignored, but lasted 4 days. Back of head, headache still active, off and on. Sensitivity, vomiting, off and on 1 day. Blurry vision, 2 days. Note, I still continue to have headaches, difficulty thinking clearly and remembering information. I did send a kite on July 19, 2022, and July 21st, 2022, July 26, July 30. I was told to be patient and I was placed on a sick call multiple times. On August 16, 2022, Maggie, welfare nurse, appeared to almost 30 days after the incident. I explained to her that the incident occurred while sleeping as I was having nightmares and sleepwalking conditions. Oh, nightmares, eh? How long is the letter? We're almost done. I explained the continued issue and that this was the second one in a year. I also asked for the bottom bunk restriction to prevent further head damage, and I was sure that I damaged my ribs as well. I also expressed my concern for neglecting a head trauma for almost 30 days. She told me to kite mental health instead because they handle those type of things. Once again, I received incompetent responses from an individual who is a licensed nurse hired by Wellfast? I don't know. This is probably a company. This is beyond a reasonable response time, and are beyond negligent, as explained in my section involving my stomach issues. Both issues are serious and risk potential further health issues or risk of harm. Individuals and organizations the same in situation outside of these defendants would know that without the proper medication, x-rays, etc., the symptoms will increase, the pain level will increase, and this will lead to more stomach and gastrointestinal tract issues, head congestion, head or cognitive related issues, concussions. In addition, the stomach issues could lead to bowel destruction and internal bleeding, as per my GI doctor. Dude, I wonder if the reason why she has her head down in court the entire time is because she's like in severe stomach pain and she just can't shit. And she's so constipated that she can't really sit in court properly. She's got her head down. Oh my God. In summary, the named defendants in claim number 2 showed deliberate indifference more than negligence, causing medical suffering and harm, or potential knowledge that harm will result. Both parties violate the 8th Amendment by 1, deprivations of a basic human need that is serious, and 2, acted with a sufficiently culpable state of mind. While FAST controls the direction, disregards the health and safety, El Paso County Jail fails to supervise and engage in promulgated implementation of the casual policy, also disregarding inmates' health and safety. Other individuals in both comparisons would know that their action violates the amendment. In addition, both capacities and entities are imposing the punishment of lack of medical care as a punishment, and El Paso County is not immune to the 11th Amendment. I have included a policy or custom exists that there is a direct link between the policy custom and the constitutional injury. Finally, both defendants refuse to protect inmates from inhuman treatment and the conditions that are deliberate and prejudiced when compared to other inmates' populations or even at all. Inmates on chemical dependency are monitored and receive doctor visits, but the handbook preludes to treatment for all basic medical needs, and rises to the level of cruel and unusual. And this rises to the level of cruel and unusual. Claim number 1 involved defendants. Defendant number 1, El Paso County for El Paso County Jail, who are under the color of law, failed to supervise the trained staff properly, failed to bring the kitchen and workers in compliance with kosher, uniform fashion, entities, policy, or custom, promulgated, created, implemented, or possessed responsibility for the continued constitutional injury to disregard 1 and 14th Amendment. 4, abuse or discretionary use of opinion evidence. Defendant number 2, Stengel. Oh, who was number 1? Oh, okay, the county jail. Okay, Stengel. Deputy Stengel engaged in individual participation, knowingly and with prejudice to one's legal rights due to plaintiff's current prejudicial publicity. The plaintiff's right to practice religion in accordance with customs and continue to report frivolous claims without merit or abuse of power or tactics. In fact, there is no tangible evidence to warrant the kosher suspension. She used false reputation evidence to punish and violate the First Amendment. Defendant number 3, R. Snipe. The individual participated in the violation by a total disregard of the First Amendment due process by suggesting that there is a deserved punishment with comments mentioned, in addition to her disregard to fix the diet when she is the only means to do so while it was locked down during 2021-2022. Claim number 1, continued. Trinity Food Services. Disregard inmates' health and risk of substantial burden placed by religious diet violations. Failure to supervise kitchen staff and outside employees, those that instruct inmates in the kitchen on how to properly prepare a kosher diet. Aware of their actions and violate the right. Claim number 2. What do we have now? Claim number 2, defendant number 4, days, I don't know. Deprivation of basic medical care, acted with culpable state of mind, being a hired licensed professional in the area of expertise, disregarded the objectively serious condition, medical need or risk of harm if left untreated properly. We have El Paso County, and is that it? Is that towards the end? Oh, that's it. Man, thought we were going to read more. Defendant number 1, El Paso County, aware that contractor WellPath's action violate 8th Amendment rights and they have possessed responsibility for the continued operation and risk of harm. WellPath. Okay, WellPath. Note, in reference to all the defendants, all these other individuals or entities would adhere to these rights and or know their actions violate that right. I think Corky-san is the only person to read the letter completely. Jail staff probably just scan it and file it away. This is entertaining. Okay, it's entertaining to me. I'm glad that she's suffering in jail. I mean, she does have a right to medical stuff and eating the food that she needs to eat, but I'm glad that she's suffering right now. I don't know. It's also possible that she's just being, it's also possible that she's just lying, right? Like, I don't know. I wish I could hear from their side of the story. You know, you have like a customer that complains, blah, 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 blah. And then when you get the response from the restaurant or the response from the business, and it's like, oh, so this is what actually happened. And the customer's just trying to get their way. And yeah, I don't know. I want to hear from both sides of the story. I need a padded cells and 3 or 4 enemas a day. Lol. I think it's just interesting. I wonder, so this was filed. I wonder if anything came out of it. Let's see. Did anything come out of it? I don't think so, right? At least not yet. Letecia Stauch lawsuit update. How about that? All right. Anything going on right now? We're still waiting, right? Lawsuit update. Jail lawsuit update. The Gazette. Shall we read the Gazette? I think that's the most updated one that we have. All right. The Gazette. Oh, geez. Okay. Attorneys representing El Paso County and 2 El Paso County Sheriff's deputies filed a motion in federal court on Wednesday to dismiss a lawsuit filed with Letecia Stauch. The lawsuit filed on September 22nd claims that El Paso County, the jail's food provider, A pair of El Paso County, I'm going to zoom in some more. A pair of El Paso County sheriff deputies and jail medical providers had mistreated Stauch and violated her First and Eighth Amendment rights, which protect the freedom of religion and protect against cruel and unusual punishment, respectively. Stauch makes 2 claims against the county jail. First, that she and other inmates could not get kosher meals from Trinity Food Services despite her request. The parties involved expect me to follow my signed religious agreement, but can ignore it on their end, claims in her lawsuit. The second is that Stauch's rights are being violated by poor medical treatment while being detained in jail. Stauch's claimed that she was giving medicine for the stomach ailment for which she initially detained in 2020, but that it doesn't work. Stauch alleges that that she tried to obtain new medication for her stomach issues in 21, 22, but continued to be denied, something that flabbergasted her. Another accusation over medical mistreatment is alleged by Stauch in the lawsuit. Stauch claims that in July, she requested a medical evaluation for a concoction after falling off the top bunk and hitting her head. I'm sorry, laughing. Stauch said that she has to be evaluated several times, but did not receive medical assistance until 30 days later. I still continue to have headaches, The attorneys representing El Paso County and 2 named deputies asked the court to dismiss all complaints by Stauch. The motion argues that Stauch's First Amendment rights had not been violated because not getting kosher meals did not substantially burden her sincerely held religious beliefs. Here, CJC has established guidelines providing access to religious diet. Plaintiff acknowledged those guidelines via her signature. Guidelines such as this are not necessary for the safe and orderly function of the jail. The motion states that even if Stauch's First Amendment rights had been violated, that the 2 named deputies specifically could not be responsible for such violation. The motion also says that El Paso County should not be named as a defendant because it does not have control over the jail. Rather, the sheriff's office does. Attorneys representing Trinity Food Services filed a motion to dismiss allegations made by Stauch. Stauch is set to go to trial in March, and yeah, we got that. Okay, so no update. They just want to dismiss it. Interesting. I wonder if she was always eating kosher foods or it's just something that she decided to do now just to be difficult. So she has something to complain about, you know? Jasmine, the constipated princess. Totally off subject, but Al should really sue to take his name back. I know. She's destroyed the Stauch family name. What was her name before that? Yeah, we should stop calling her Letecia Stauch. Just call her Letecia. I feel bad, man. One of her personalities must be Jewish. Her other personalities are kosher. Oh, man. All right. Still on jury watch, right? What would the jury decide for Letecia Stauch? I say guilty. Let's see. 98% say guilty on law and crime. 2% not guilty by reason of insanity. All right. Well, still waiting.